So going off of what you just said too, you've been in for 6 years, right? If I were to go up to that truck and I were to pick out every single component out of that engine, would you be able to answer that question?
Pretty close to it.
Pretty close to it, but
Yeah.
not all of it.
Right.
I will not be.
Exactly. So going off of that, the reason why we have to do the PMCS is because out of that 6 years, how often do we actually drill? How often do we actually look at the vehicles? How often do we actually fix them? Unless you're
And a lot of this stuff just fails just because it's sitting. It's a truck that's designed to be driven constantly, thoroughly, and hard every day, and it just sits in
Right.
the motor pool for 90% of the year.
So I could go up to someone who knows nothing,
Right.
and then I can go up to someone who knows everything.
Yeah.
And the reality is having this be your MOS, having a just level 10 maintenance with PMCS, you should be able to know everything about your job. So if I tell you to go, if I go walk you over and be like, hey, do you know how to check a flat tire? Most people might know how to do it. But I'm like, okay, do you know how to check it? Do you know what a class 3 leak is?
When it's like dripping,
Yep.
it's visibly leaking.
How many people I ask that question, they're like, what the hell is that?
Or they
That's-
I feel like maybe they know, but they just are forgetting. Maybe.
Or looking
Right,
to see
It's a
which,
pretty
which,
basic.
which is fine.
or,
It's
they're looking to see if it's a trick question.
Yeah.
that too.
Overanalyzing for sure. I do that.
But I've talked to like three 388 mics, and I was just like, hey, have you ever done like a proper, not a PMCS, a proper PMCS? And they're like, oh yeah. And then I go around and they're like, okay, I don't know this. I'm like, exactly my points.
But I also feel like this is kind of where the military loses me. At times they're too thorough and methodical. Like people always say, reference the TM. Well, I don't like carry it in my pocket like a Bible. So like I don't just have that to reference, but I have a really good idea of what I should be checking. I understand you need to obviously check your lights, check your tires, check basically everything in the truck. Check for leaks, check the tire pressure, the tire tread depth. Under the hood, you're checking fluids. It's very thorough, but I don't think that I need a book to tell me that. I think it's pretty well.
So
you don't, but other people do.
let me ask you a question. In the PMCS, if you were going to take a truck and you were going to drive it, what's the number one thing you should always check, regardless of where you're going? Besides fluids, because that's a giveaway.
Well, check like the proximity of your vehicle to the surrounding objects. Like make sure there's nothing under or near it.
Always check the tire pressure. Because I've always gone out in that motor pool on the last mission that I went on and the mission before that, and my tire pressure was at 70. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's
Should
supposed
be
to
at
be
100.
110. It's supposed the tires say 110 depending on which tires you have. You
Yeah.
have 120, 110.
I think the steer is 100, but yeah, right. It should be closer to 100.
There's actually two things that you should check, which is the first thing you should check: tire
Lights,
pressure
too.
and what else?
Lights.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people do not check lights. Sometimes even we forget to check the lights.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have more than one person doing it, it's gonna get caught.
Right.
But the tire pressures make it so that you can go even further than the 300 and something and the 400 miles of the thing.
Right, because it's better fuel mileage.
Yes, and that's like one of the biggest things that I touched on with my last mission was check the tire pressure.
Yeah.
And you can see it if it's bulging down, and it's like, yo, check
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And you know how many times I walk by the trucks, I'm like, that tire pressure.
If you can visibly see that it's like
Yeah.
bulging, that's an issue because it could be low in pressure and still not be bulging. But the fact that it's bulging tells me it's a really serious issue.
They were like, oh, it's cold out. I'm like, all right. When you drove it inflated, but I'm like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
It's allowed to go under a certain pressure without it being flat. It's like if it's past like I think it's like 20 psi or whatever the number is. Maybe the TM says differently. It's that's considered like flat.
But also, like, if a truck sits for a while, like, regardless of temperature, there's, like, the way I understand it, it can develop, like, flat spots. Like, I parked my car at the airport for, like, a couple weeks, and I go to pick it up, and it's, like, there's, like, this, like, cupping in the tire, and it makes, like, this, like, wind buffeting noise. Like, when you roll down one window but not the other, and it creates that, like, helicopter sound.
Okay.
The tires do that, because I guess it's a flat spot. But over time, the more the tire rolls, it goes back to normal, and it reforms itself. But
Yeah, it's just
Sitting.
rubber and metal and basically air. So
Right.
it can eventually push itself back into normal spot again.
right.
Yeah. But trying to think, I did have another question and we got sidetracked.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Very sidetracked.
That's okay. So with you being in for, actually no, I'm gonna hold off on that question.
Okay.
So with being the 3 or 4 months that we've been here so far,
Two and a half.
3, yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Do you regret making the decision to come here?
No.
No.
I'm glad I did it.
Okay.
Again, there's things that could be better. There's things I think will get worse before they get better, if they get better. But,
Yeah.
but no, I think it's a good way to round up my contract. My contract's up next January, so
Okay.
I did 5 years stateside and then ended on this deployment, and will be a nice poetic note
Okay.
and credit to my first contract.
At least you get your vet status out of it.
Yes.
I already have it from DC.
Oh, you did go in DC? Okay, me too.
The second one, I heard the first one was a kind of, they got duped on that because
I was inside the whole time, so I got lucky.
yeah, well, I was too in the basement or the
Okay.
parking garage. But the second mission, they got his vet status, and which overrated. I don't. What are you getting out of that? People always say the VA loan, but like, okay, I don't need to put money down. Like, I don't. That's not a brag. I don't think. Like
It is.
financially, it's just stupid.
It's not.
It's actually, if you think about it, it's actually not, because no one else other than yourself or us have those options, because any civilian, the lowest they get is, I think it's like 3% versus us where it's 0.
But
which-
like, no, I understand what you're saying. It opens up a door, but at the same time, financially, it's not like in the bigger picture, it's not really helping you. It's like, for example, I don't know if it's a direct comparison. When you buy a car, you're supposed to put down 20% on a new car, or excuse me, 20% on a used car, 10% on a new car, I think. And it's so that you don't end up upside down. You don't end up owing more than it's worth. I would imagine the same logic applies to a house. If you buy a house in an inflated market and you end up owing more than it's worth, if it becomes foreclosed upon, you still owe the balance. Even if you sold the house, whatever equity you had, you'd still be in the negative. So it's important to have a down payment so that you don't have negative equity.
No, it's 100% important. It's just nice to have the benefit of, like, say hypothetically you want to go buy a house when like we get back, but you don't have the money right away. But you're like, hey, I'll have the money in like the next 6 months. Where most people would have to wait for that 6 months. You don't have to wait for that 6 months. You can go buy that house and be like, okay, I got that 20 grand now. I'm gonna throw it down.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's beneficial in that way. Like, you can still dig yourself out of it quickly.
Right.
You just have the option now to get it faster than most people do.
That's fair. Okay.
And then on top of that, the benefits that we have as far as like the health and dental and stuff like that, that alone is better than anyone on the civilian side. Which
Yeah,
you
that's
get,
true.
which you get that with your veteran status too.
Right.
So it's
Wait,
still
you get full?
not. It's not like full. It's just is. I forgot like what the percentage is, or it's like it's something along the lines of like you get something with it. Don't quote me on it. You'd have to actually like look into it. But
I thought you had to do 20 years to get full insurance.
I believe it's 6.
That's actually really good to know. If that's
Because
true.
20 years is it means that you get to keep it when you're retiring.
Oh, okay. But even then, like the retired, what do they call it? The retired select or something. It's still expensive. It's cheaper than it would otherwise be, but it's still expensive.
Right.
That's interesting. I'll have to look at that. That might
Yeah.
keep me in longer, honestly.
Yeah, you might. I mean, let me know, because I want to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm not just like quoting something
Yeah,
that you know
might
what I
be
mean.
misinformation.
Because you could be told something, I could be told
Right.
something, and we both are wrong.
Right.
So, so with the money that you are making now, or the money that you're saving up, what is the initial plan with it when we go back home? Are you planning on saving it? Are you planning on investing it?
Well,
Are
I'm
you?
saving it now. I already have investments set up, so I intend to move. I want out of Massachusetts.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
You
fuck the
going
winter.
north or south?
Southwest. I think it's very specific, but I'm thinking Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
Never been, but I know it's like one of the hottest places on earth.
Nothing wrong with that.
so-
Just get AC.
That's what I want. I want heat.
People always want roads of dry heat. I don't give a fuck. I'm totally okay with 80-degree winters. Fine by me.
My kind of guy.
You ain't
My-
scaring me. yeah. So I don't know. I just kind of latched onto that. I was thinking Florida, then I was like, the hurricanes don't even scare me in Florida. It's the insurance. Insurance is just so. The insurance and the HOAs. Like HOAs, virtually every property in Florida seems to have an HOA. So between that and extremely expensive insurance because of the hurricanes, that's what scares me about Florida.
Okay.
So I kind of weeded that out. I moved to the Carolinas because I have family there, and their winters are not that much different than Massachusetts, honestly. It still gets cold. There's some nice days, but generally it's still pretty chilly. They get snow. They got snow this year. Like, I don't know. I want as far away from that shit as possible. So
I'm with you on that one. I want to buy a house as south as I can possibly go because I born and raised in Massachusetts and I am tired of being cold.
I hear the Florida Keys are pretty good.
yeah,
Dude,
Also-
anywhere south at this point, I'm just like I am so sick of it. I hate the cold. I'm not happy unless it's 80 degrees.
yeah.
If I have to wear a sweatshirt, I'm not happy.
Oh, I love wearing sweatshirts.
Nope. I want to be in a t-shirt. I want to be half naked everywhere I go. I want to
Just go to a
be.
nudist colony at this point.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
But no, so I don't know. Like, California is beautiful. I'd love to live there, but just politically, it's too far left for me. I'm pretty centrist, but it's just a little too extreme for me. I love to visit it, but it's just living there. It's too expensive. It's too progressive. It's just not my. It's not
Not
my
your forte.
thing. Right.
Yep. Okay.
I think Arizona is also left too.
It's, I think, a healthy mixture. I think that's what I tell myself, but I don't know. I don't like political extremists. I think I'm very independent in my thoughts, and I kind of pick and choose what I like from each side. It doesn't dictate where I want to live, but I don't know. It's California, beautiful weather, but culturally, politically, there's a lot of things that I'm not exactly on board with. So, cost is probably the biggest consideration.
Yep.
Extremely expensive. So yeah, not my thing, but beautiful place to visit.
Okay. I'm coming down to my last two questions.
Good.
If someone were to come up to you and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about joining the military," what would you tell them as far as advice goes? Would you discourage them? Would you tell them to do it? Would you kind of feel them out? What would your answer be?
I would say go for it, do a term, see how you like it, and get out. If nothing else, it's an experience. As I said earlier, it's a professional stepping stone. So do it. It's 4 years of your life.
Okay.
It's been a ride.
Unless you get locked in for the 6.
Yeah, well, that's how they got me.
They got you with 6. Yep.
The sweet talking with a bonus and the student loan repayment and the college fund kicker. So it was a good contract. It was worth the extra 2 years. So
Okay.
and it got me on this deployment. So I'm glad I did the 6. But what do they let you do? Minimum 4?
3.
Is it
I
3?
think the minimum
They
is
said
3.
3, but you can extend a year after that contract.
Yeah. And they got you for 2 years for the IRR.
So if you go 6 and you have the 2 left, you extend for a year and it cancels out the 2 years in IRR.
Oh, really?
I didn't know.
I did not know that.
It used to be that way at least. I don't know if it does it anymore.
Well, I extended this for 3 months to get this deployment, so I should have gone for the extra 9
You,
months on top
you
of that.
extended it for 3 months? How the hell did you do that? They gave you that option? What the fuck?
They didn't give me that option.
So it was my ETS was EST ETS. I was getting confused.
ETS.
ETS. November 4th or November 3rd. I enlisted November 4th, so November 3rd of this year. And in order to get on this deployment, I had to extend 90 days to January 31st. So roughly 90 days.
I'm shocked they did the paperwork for 3 months.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Take it up with a readiness NCO. That wasn't my decision.
Nope, she's awesome. I ain't going there. Nope, I don't question anything that lady says. She is awesome.
Hey.
Do you have any questions for
I'm
him?
actually good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Okay. So, my last question is the one we already discussed before, so I gave you some time to think about it. Do you have any funny drill stories?
Coming up dry.
You're coming up dry?
Yeah.
Damn.
Um,
We gotta pull a prank on him. They don't have a story.
please don't. Yeah, I can think of a lot of aggravating situations, a lot of frustration, bittersweet moments, but no.
No?
The short answer is no.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I got for today. I mean, hey, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
Nice getting to know you, and
Yeah,
like
for sure.
actually having officially meeting you.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you back on again. We'll have some more questions. I'm planning on doing like more segments. I'm planning on trying to get people back on a secondary time, maybe even a third time to
Sure.
ask more questions, kind of keep it going. And I'm even planning on eventually post-deployment, maybe even having people coming on, like even back home, and just kind of be like, hey, like this was what we did, and just kind of
Where
see
are we now, kind of?
where are we now?
Yeah.
Where are you planning on heading? And I'm continuing to do this.
That'll be at Foxwoods. We'll do that at One Big Foxwoods Casino.
One big Foxwoods Casino.
Are we
That'd be
FaceTiming you from Arizona?
yeah. I can do over the phone stuff too.
Yeah. Cool.
So even if you're not around, we can definitely do it.
Oh yeah.
But cool. I like where this went. So, but thanks for coming on, and
Appreciate it.
I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.